Hi there. I'm sitting with Sean Tollison,
Yes.
writer, director of Saturn Returns. And this is the East Coast premiere of this film. So I'm assuming it premiered somewhere on the West Coast.
Actually, our world premiere was last month at Cinema on the Bayou in Louisiana.
Oh, nice.
So we have a whole string of Southern film festivals, which is fantastic. And next week, actually, it goes to Sedona, so it'll be there.
Oh,
Sedona
nice.
Film Festival, so it'll be there.
Well, and this was shot out west.
Yes, so we shot in Mammoth Lakes, California, which, for those of you who don't know, Mammoth Lakes is the Eastern Sierras, which is best known as Ansel Adams' favorite place to photograph.
Right.
So it's quite picturesque, and we really made use of that in the film. It's very much a love letter to Mammoth Lakes and the Eastern Sierras. So if you haven't visited Mammoth Lakes, the film will make you want to visit.
I have actually been there, and it is starkly beautiful there.
Yes.
It's really pretty.
Yeah.
Tell us about what the film's about a little bit.
So it is the story of 5 college friends who reunite for a wedding of 2 of their group in Mammoth Lakes. And 36 hours before the wedding, the missing 6th friend of their college group shows up uninvited, unexpectedly. And he is the former best friend of the groom and the ex-boyfriend of the bride. And he brings a friend with him. So it's, needless to say, it's a dramedy, but the weekend does not go quite as planned. And the whole group actually went to college together at Duke in North Carolina, which is implied in the movie. They don't literally say Duke, but they reference it a bunch of times in the movie. So there's a whole Carolina theme.
Now you wrote the screenplay.
I did.
Is this? Are you drawing from personal experience?
Yes. Well, a couple things actually. So a few years back, I had actually tried to put together 2 different feature films, and they were sort of bigger in scope and budget. And I wasn't, with feature films, you sometimes work for a long time and it doesn't quite work. Pieces fall out, and so that had happened. And so I thought, you know what, I need to write something much, much smaller in scale that I can make on my own if I need to. And at that point, I was envisioning just like a micro, no-budget movie if necessary, which this is not. It's a little bit bigger than that. So I was kind of facing down my 40th birthday. It was looming in front of me. And I thought, this is kind of interesting. There's a lot culturally about the big birthdays. There's a lot of discussion, and it's in the culture about the big birthdays. And I thought, okay, so this is kind of interesting, and what's going on for me is kind of interesting. But I don't want to talk about this because I'm in it right now. It's hard to talk about something you're in.
Right.
But let's talk about one that I've already had, which would be my 30th birthday. That's really juicy and interesting. The time around my 30th birthday was very tumultuous. For me, I met the man who is now my husband like 2 days before I turned 30. So it was really
fortuitous, certainly.
Yeah, very, very fortuitous and big, lots of changes. And so I was thinking, it'd be great to go on a journey with some characters who are about to turn 30 and what's going on for them. That'd be really interesting as kind of a backdrop for our main story. And so I was telling a friend of mine, just like, do you think this is a good idea? Just running it past a friend of mine who's also a writer and a director. And she said, yeah, I love it. And you should call it Saturn Returns, because there's this thing called your Saturn return that happens when you're turning 30. And she didn't know. She actually just talked about the one that when you're turning 30. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. And what it is in astronomy, the planet Saturn is on a 29.5-year cycle. So it returns to the place it was in the sky at your birth, for everyone, when you're turning 30, turning 60, turning 90. And in astrology, the planet Saturn represents sort of big life choices, life partner, life purpose, career, which is why, from the point of view of astrology, that's why we're wrestling with all that big stuff. Usually when we're turning 30, it's very tumultuous. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
We all did that.
We all turned 30 and have this, and it's so universal, right?
Right.
And also, from a filmmaking perspective, from a visual perspective, the night sky, like, who doesn't want to incorporate that in their movie, And so, and I thought, that's just so visually, inspiring. and so there is a lot of night sky in our movie.
Oh, very cool.
And then we
and shooting in that part of the world.
Yes,
the sky
beautiful
is,
night sky in the Eastern Sierras. In fact, there's one of the big NASA telescopes is sort of right down the road. The big array of telescopes is actually about 75 miles down the road from Mammoth Lake. So it really, the night sky is spectacular. And so that was kind of very early in the process before I even started writing the script. And as I was writing the script, there was a whole idea of keeping it really simple and a low budget, which would have meant shooting probably in Los Angeles because that was where I was living at the time and had lived for a long time. But shooting in Los Angeles is hard. It's hard for a couple reasons. First of all, it's been done. So it's not that interesting to me. Anyway, it's like lots of films shoot in Los Angeles, although less these days, fewer films these days because of runaway production. But it's also very, very expensive because people in Los Angeles know what to charge. And so I thought it's going to be really hard to get a great house and where are they going when they leave the house? So, like, where are they going in Los Angeles that isn't going to cost a lot of money and will be visually compelling and interesting? And so it just wasn't inspiring to me to shoot in Los Angeles. So my husband had taken me to Mammoth Lakes for the first time, 2001, I think, December 2001. And I loved it. And I'm a Californian, but I'd never been to Mammoth Lakes, which is not uncommon for California. It's such a big state. You don't, necessarily make your way to this little tiny town. And I had loved it. I absolutely loved it. And we were just very fortunate to be able to go 5 or 6 times a year for, at that point, probably 7, 8, 9 years.
So you knew this part of the world really
we've been going a lot.
Yeah.
And then one year we'd gone in the summer and we were like, oh my gosh, this is like the best kept secret. Mammoth Lakes in the summer. Who knew? And so I just thought, wow, this is inspiring to me. It would be great to make a film here and celebrate this gorgeous place and have it be a character in the movie. I love films where the environment's really a character in the movie. And so that's what we did. And we really rallied the town behind us. And a number of our investors were people in the town. Our first investor.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So most of our investors are from Mammoth Lakes.
Which involves the whole community, and so everybody sort of feels like they're part of what's going on.
Yes.
And I'm sure that opened all kinds of doors.
It did. I bet. And it gave us an opportunity to really get to know the town in a way that we actually just hadn't gotten to know it, because when you just go up there and you ski and you come back, you're not interacting with the town particularly. You're not, and so that was just awesome. It was really a great part of the experience.
And you have a connection to the Carolinas, having been a former student of the North Carolina School of the Arts, which has been represented at the film festival here in Beaufort every year by lots of really good student filmmakers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I went to North Carolina School of the Arts in the 90s. It was a bit smaller then, although I'm sure it's still not big. And I actually went to the School of Drama. I went as an actor initially. And while I was there, it was a really sort of formative time for the School of the Arts, because while I was there, they started the film school. Actually, it started in my second year when I was there. And the School of Drama also started a directing program. There had not been a directing program. And so I was there, and all of this was happening, and I thought, oh my gosh, I always thought that I would direct way down the line at some point, and I thought, oh, but it's here right now. So I applied to the directing program and was accepted. I was in a class of 3 directors.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, very, very small. And I did both programs, the acting program and the directing program, which nearly killed me. But I survived. Very, very hard. So that at the time, I think it's probably changed a little bit now. We've probably gotten, just worked out the logistics. But at the time, the directing program was just sort of sandwiched into the cracks. Sort of stuffed into the cracks of the acting program. There wasn't actual time built in the schedule, so I had to rehearse my directing projects from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. in the morning. That was my time because there was no other time in the schedule. So
Sure. And
3 nights a week, I rehearsed from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. and it like almost immediately was my favorite time in the week. And it was an amazing program, so there was
Right.
awesome stuff we were up to, right? But it was the thing I looked forward to the most. And one night, very early on in the process, like right in the first quarter of the directing program, I just realized that I had been like the shoe fit. I remember thinking, God, this is like the shoe fits. And what I realized was that I had been wearing these really cool shoes as an actor, but they didn't fit me very well, and they were kind of always not quite right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put on these amazing shoes as a director, also very cool, and
Right.
they looked great and they fit.
but for a director, it's
Yeah.
helpful to have been an actor because
Absolutely.
then you can communicate
Yes.
to actors
Yes.
in a much better way, I think, that
Absolutely.
actors will understand.
And I started acting when I was 6, so I was an actor. So by the time I started directing, I'd been acting for almost 20 years at that
Right.
point. I was in my early 20s. So I also had quite a journey as an actor, even before I'd gotten to North Carolina School of the Arts, which is now the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. I have to keep correcting myself. Yeah.
Good luck with
Thank
Saturn
you.
Returns.
Thank you.
And it will be available for
Yes, it will.
people to see.
So we are doing our distribution deals now, actually, which is very exciting. And if your listeners want to find out more about it, go to SaturnReturns.net, SaturnReturns.net, so SaturnReturns.net, and you can join the mailing list, and we'll be posting news there, and we'll keep you posted if you're on the mailing list. And we're on Facebook too, so Saturn Returns the movie. Yes.
And for more information from the Beaufort International Film Festival, it's BeaufortFilmFestival.com. And I'm Jeff Evans with Low Country Weekly, and we've got a lot of information about the film festival at lowcountryweekly.com. Thank you very much.